Listen to me closely. There are moments in life when you didn't pray for strength because you didn't even know the storm was coming. You asked for peace. You asked for clarity. You asked for relief. But instead, God answered you with strength. Not the kind you lift with your hands, but the kind you carry in your spirit. You didn't ask to be betrayed. You didn't ask to be stretched. You didn't ask to walk through seasons that drained you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still believing. That is not an accident. That is divine reinforcement. God has given you strength you never asked for because He saw battles you couldn't foresee. He saw pressure that would have crushed the old version of you. So instead of removing the weight, He increased your capacity. Instead of stopping the fire, He made you fireproof. Instead of explaining the pain, He empowered your endurance. This strength shows up when you wake up tired but refuse to quit. It shows up when your heart is heavy, yet your faith is still alive. It shows up when tears fall, but worship still rises. You may feel overwhelmed, but you are not overpowered. You may feel weak, but you are not defeated. The same God who carried David into battles he never applied for is carrying you right now. Don't despise this season. Don't misunderstand this pressure. What feels like survival is actually preparation. What feels like exhaustion is actually expansion. God is building something in you that comfort never could. There are seasons in life that arrive without warning, without permission, and without your consent. You didn't vote for them. You didn't plan for them. You didn't wake up one morning and say, God, stretch me until it hurts. Yet suddenly, life shifts. The ground moves beneath your feet. The weight increases. The demand grows heavier than your preparation. And you realize something unsettling and holy at the same time. You are standing in a season you did not choose. You didn't choose the loss. You didn't choose the delay. You didn't choose the rejection, the pressure, the responsibility, the burden, the fight. But hear this clearly. Even though you didn't choose the season, God chose you for it. This is where strength is born. Not the kind that comes from confidence or experience, but the kind that comes from calling. God gives strength in seasons you didn't choose. Because those seasons are not about your comfort, they are about your capacity. They are not about your preference, they are about your purpose. If the season had required only what you already had, you would have asked for it. But because it requires more than you possess, God supplies what you lack. You are strong right now in ways you never trained for. You are enduring pressure you never practiced surviving. You are carrying responsibilities you never imagined holding. And the reason you haven't collapsed is not because you are special in your own power. It's because God is sustaining you in real time. He is giving you strength as you go, not before you go. He is equipping you while you walk, not weeks in advance. That's how faith works. There are some strengths that only show up in crisis. You never knew you could forgive like this until you were wounded this deeply. You never knew you could keep going after disappointment until quitting felt justified. You never knew you could pray through tears, worship through confusion, stand through heartbreak until life backed you into a corner and God met you there. This season is uncomfortable because it is unfamiliar. You have no script for this, no manual, no blueprint, and that's intentional. God removes the instructions so you will rely on His presence. He allows the path to feel uncertain so you will listen for His voice. He lets the season stretch you beyond yourself so you will discover that He is more than enough. You may feel unqualified, but you are not unsupported. You may feel overwhelmed, but you are not abandoned. Heaven is not watching you struggle in silence. Heaven is reinforcing you with unseen strength. Angels you can't see, grace you didn't request, endurance you didn't know you had. This strength doesn't make noise. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up quietly when you wake up and say, I don't know how, but I'll try again. It shows up when you keep your integrity under pressure, when you choose faith instead of bitterness, when you refuse to become what hurt you. That is supernatural strength. Understand this. God often chooses seasons for you that your comfort would have rejected, but your destiny requires. If he let you choose, you might have stayed safe. You might have stayed small. You might have stayed familiar. But God is not interested in keeping you comfortable. He is committed to making you complete. That's why this season feels heavy. Weight builds muscle. Resistance builds strength. Fire builds purity. Nothing you are facing is random. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is happening without divine awareness. The strength you are receiving now is not just to survive this season. It is to prepare you for the next one. One day you will look back and realize this was the season that matured your faith. This was the season that disciplined your emotions. This was the season that taught you how to stand alone with God when applause disappeared. This was the season that stripped away dependency on people and anchored you in divine assurance. You didn't choose this season, but it chose you. And God trusted you with it. He trusted you with the weight because he knew he would supply the strength. He trusted you with the pressure because he knew you would not break. He trusted you with the storm because he knew what was inside you, even when you didn't. So don't curse this season. Don't rush it. Don't resent it. Receive the strength that comes with it. Let it build you. Let it stretch you. Let it transform you. You are becoming stronger in places that will matter for the rest of your life. This is not punishment. This is preparation. This is not abandonment. This is alignment. God is giving you strength for a season you didn't choose because he is leading you to a future you couldn't have imagined. Pressure is not your enemy. It is your evidence. It is the silent announcement that something in you is being elevated. You don't feel pressure in places where nothing is happening. You don't feel resistance when you're standing still. Pressure shows up when growth is underway, when movement is required, when destiny is being activated. That tightness in your chest, that stretching in your spirit, that weight on your shoulders is not a sign that something is wrong. It's proof that something is changing. Think about this. Nobody pressures what has no value. Nobody guards what has no potential. Nobody challenges what poses no threat. Pressure surrounds purpose. Pressure follows promotion. Pressure escorts progress. And when God allows pressure into your life, he is not trying to crush you. He is confirming you. You've been interpreting the pressure as opposition, but heaven calls it confirmation. The reason this season feels intense is because the assignment is significant. The reason the load feels heavy is because the outcome is weighty. If what you were carrying didn't matter, it wouldn't feel like this. Pressure is not a curse, it is a credential. Every new level introduces new resistance. When God lifts you higher, the air gets thinner. You can't breathe the same way. You can't think the same way. You can't move the same way. What worked before won't work now. That discomfort is not failure, it's adjustment. You are learning how to function in a higher place. Pressure exposes what's inside you. It reveals your discipline, your faith, your character, your focus. Comfort hides flaws. Pressure refines strengths. Under pressure, excuses evaporate and truth rises. You discover what you really believe, who you really trust, and where your foundation truly stands. That's why God uses pressure. It tells the truth about you. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Promotion always requires preparation, and preparation always includes pressure. Before the crown comes the weight. Before authority comes accountability. Before visibility comes vulnerability. God never elevates what he hasn't first tested, and what you are feeling right now is the test of readiness. Pressure forces you to pray differently. You stop praying polite prayers and start praying honest ones. Pressure pushes you to prioritize what matters and release what doesn't. It sharpens your discernment. It clarifies your calling. It matures your faith. You stop depending on applause and start depending on God. That's promotion. When pressure increases, grace increases with you are not carrying this alone. There is a divine reinforcement happening beneath the surface. Strength is being poured into places you didn't know were empty. Wisdom is forming in moments you thought were just painful. Endurance is being built while you feel stretched thin. God is upgrading you from the inside out. Pressure also separates. It reveals who can go with you and who must stay behind. Not everyone can survive the altitude you're entering. Some relationships were built for your past, not your future. Pressure doesn't ruin connections. It reveals their capacity. And though separation hurts, it protects your progress. You may feel like you're being squeezed from every side, but what's coming out of you is better than what went in. Oil comes from pressure. Diamonds come from pressure. Strength comes from pressure. Clarity comes from pressure. Purpose comes alive under pressure. God uses pressure to extract the best version of you. Don't confuse resistance with rejection. The resistance you feel is proof that you are moving in the right direction. When doors start pushing back, it doesn't always mean stop. It often means push with purpose. When the enemy resists, it's because heaven has authorized advancement. Pressure is not permission to quit. It's a signal to rise. You are learning how to carry more without losing yourself. You are learning how to lead without pride, serve without resentment, stand without applause. These lessons cannot be learned in comfort. They are forged in pressure. And when this season passes, and it will, you will not just be relieved, you will be refined. One day, the very pressure that almost broke you will become the proof that built you. You will speak with authority because you were tested. You will walk with humility because you were stretched. You will lead with compassion because you know what it feels like to be underweight. That is promotion with integrity. So don't ask God to remove the pressure. Ask Him to reveal the purpose. Don't run from the weight. Let it shape you. Don't fear the resistance. Recognize it. This pressure is not here to stop you. It is here to show you that you are ready for more. What you are feeling is not collapse. It's capacity expanding. It's not breakdown. It's breakthrough forming. It's not the end. It's elevation beginning. Pressure is proof that God is lifting you higher than you've ever been before. There are moments when you desperately want answers, but all you receive is endurance. You pray for clarity, but instead of explanations, you're given the strength to keep going. You ask God why, and heaven responds not with reasons, but with resilience. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, that understanding often comes after obedience, not before it. Strength grows before understanding comes. We like to believe that if we knew the reason, we could bear the weight. If God would just explain the delay, the loss, the silence, the struggle, then we could walk through it with confidence. But God knows something we often forget. Explanations don't sustain you. Strength does. Knowledge may satisfy curiosity, but endurance sustains destiny. There are seasons when God withholds understanding not to confuse you, but to protect you. If He revealed the full picture too early, the weight of what's coming might overwhelm you. So instead, He builds you quietly. He fortifies your spirit. He toughens your faith. He increases your capacity little by little, day by day, moment by moment. By the time understanding arrives, you are already strong enough to carry it. Think about how growth works. Muscles are not built by explanation. They are built by resistance. No one becomes strong by reading about lifting weights. They become strong by lifting them. In the same way, spiritual strength is not developed by insight alone. It is developed by experience. God lets you walk before you fully understand so that faith can mature beyond feelings. This is why you have survived things you never imagined surviving. You didn't know how you would make it through that season, but somehow you did. You didn't have clarity, but you had courage. You didn't have answers, but you had endurance. That was God giving you what you needed most, not what you wanted first. Understanding tends to inflate pride. Strength produces humility. When you don't know why, you must lean on who. You stop trusting your intellect and start trusting God's character. You learn to say, I don't understand this, but I trust you. That kind of faith is not shallow. It is forged. It has weight. It has roots. God is far more interested in who you are becoming than what you know. Knowledge can be gained quickly, character cannot. Wisdom formed through endurance lasts longer than insight gained through explanation. That's why God often delays understanding until the lesson has been learned in the heart, not just in the mind. In these seasons, strength shows up quietly. It looks like waking up tired and choosing faith anyway. It looks like obeying without applause. It looks like holding on to integrity when compromise would be easier. It looks like worshiping when praise doesn't make sense. Is strength growing? Slow, unseen, but undeniable. You may feel frustrated because you're asking questions that seem unanswered, but the fact that you're still standing is the answer. The fact that you're still believing is the response. The fact that you haven't quit is the revelation. God is speaking through sustenance. Understanding often arrives in hindsight. One day you'll look back and realize that what felt like confusion was actually construction. God was building patience. He was strengthening discipline. He was teaching you to walk by faith and not by sight. And when the understanding finally comes, it won't shake you. It will serve you. If God explained everything before you were strengthened, fear might have stopped you. Doubt might have paralyzed you. But because He strengthened you first, you kept moving. You kept growing. You kept trusting. Now when the truth is revealed, it won't destroy you. It will empower you. So don't be discouraged by what you don't understand yet. Don't mistake silence for absence. Don't assume confusion means you're lost. Sometimes God is simply strengthening you for a revelation that requires maturity to handle. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are not forgotten. You are being fortified. The strength you are developing now is making room for the understanding that will come later. And when it comes, you will not just comprehend it. You will be able to carry it. This is the order of God: strength first, understanding second, endurance before explanation, faith before clarity. And because you are growing stronger now, you will be ready when the understanding finally arrives. There are moments when you look around and realize there is no exit, no shortcut, no escape route, no easy way out. You've prayed for doors to open, but instead the wall stayed standing. You asked God to remove you from the situation, but He left you in it. And in those moments, fear whispers, you're trapped. But heaven declares you're being trained. God fortifies you when escape isn't an option. We often believe God's favor means avoidance, that He loves us. He'll keep us from pain, pressure, and difficulty. But some of God's greatest works are not done by removing the battle, but by strengthening the believer with I in it. When escape isn't an option, strength becomes the miracle. Think about it. If you could leave whenever it got hard, you would never grow roots. If there were always an easy way out, endurance would never develop. If God rescued you too quickly, you would survive, but you wouldn't mature. So sometimes in His wisdom, God closes the exits so you can discover what's inside you. This is the season where you stop asking, how do I get out? And start learning, how do I stand? God fortifies you internally when external relief is delayed. He builds stamina when speed won't serve you. He teaches you how to endure without becoming bitter, how to stay faithful without becoming angry, how to keep your heart soft in a hard place. When escape isn't an option, God becomes your refuge inside the storm. You learn how to pray without panic. You learn how to trust without control. You learn how to rest while still surrounded by pressure. This kind of strength doesn't come from freedom. It comes from faith. You are not stuck because God forgot you. You are stationed because God is shaping you. This is not delay, it's development. God is training you to carry peace where chaos still exists. He is teaching you how to function under pressure without losing your identity. That kind of strength can't be learned in comfort. When you can't escape, excuses disappear. Complaints lose their power. You stop blaming circumstances and start building character. You learn discipline. You learn restraint. You learn patience. You learn obedience. These are not glamorous lessons, but they are essential ones. God is more interested in forming you than freeing you prematurely. This is where spiritual muscles are built, not when everything is going your way, but when quitting would make sense and you still choose faith. Not when answers are clear, but when obedience feels costly. When escape isn't an option, endurance becomes your testimony. God knows exactly how much pressure to allow. He will never leave you exposed without protection, never leave you overwhelmed without reinforcement. While you feel surrounded, heaven is supporting you. Strength is being poured into you quietly, daily, faithfully. You are being fortified from the inside out. This season is teaching you that your strength does not come from circumstances changing. It comes from God sustaining you. You are learning that joy doesn't require relief, peace doesn't require resolution, and faith doesn't require understanding. That is powerful. Some of the strongest people in the world are those who learned how to stand when running wasn't possible. They didn't escape the fire. They discovered they could survive it. And once you learn that, fear loses its grip, because you realize, if I made it through that, I can make it through anything. God doesn't always rescue you from the situation because He wants to reveal who He is to you in the situation. He becomes your strength. He becomes your anchor. He becomes your confidence. And when escape isn't an option, intimacy with God deepens in ways freedom never could. One day you will look back and realize that the season you thought would destroy you actually developed you. It trained your spirit. It sharpened your discernment. It strengthened your faith. And when God finally opens the door, and He will, you won't walk out the same person who walked in. You will walk out stronger, wiser, more grounded, more resilient. Because when escape wasn't an option, God became your strength. And that strength changed everything. There are people who mistake endurance for weakness. They think if you're still standing in the same place, still fighting the same battle, still carrying the same weight, then something must be wrong. But endurance is not the absence of progress. It is proof of divine backing. The fact that you are still here, still believing, still moving forward in faith is not accidental. It is evidence that God's hand is on your life. You didn't quit when quitting made sense. You didn't collapse when the pressure was heavy. You didn't lose your faith when disappointment tried to drain it. That is not human strength alone. That is God sustaining you. Endurance is not loud. It doesn't always look victorious. Sometimes it looks like survival. Sometimes it looks like getting up when you're tired. Sometimes it looks like praying without emotion, worshiping without answers, trusting without clarity. But heaven sees it as faith in motion. Endurance is what faith looks like when feelings are gone. If God were not backing you, you would have been consumed by what you've been through. The fact that the storm didn't destroy you is proof that it was regulated. The fact that the weight didn't crush you is proof that it was measured. God never allows pressure without provision. He never allows strain without strength. What you endured did not overpower you because God was reinforcing you the entire time. Endurance is often misunderstood because it doesn't look glamorous. We celebrate breakthroughs, but we overlook the strength it takes to keep going before the breakthrough arrives. Yet endurance is where character is formed. It's where faith deepens. It's where trust becomes unshakable. Anyone can praise God when the answer comes quickly. It takes divine backing to keep praising when the answer is delayed. You are still standing because grace is still flowing. Grace is not just forgiveness, it is divine empowerment. It is God's ability working through human weakness. When you had no energy left, grace carried you. When your emotions were drained, grace sustained you. When your faith felt fragile, grace held you together. That endurance is evidence that God has not stepped away. The enemy tried to wear you out, not wipe you out. He hoped exhaust. Sion would succeed where destruction failed. But even your weariness didn't win. You may be tired, but you're not defeated. You may be stretched, but you're not broken. That's because endurance is fueled by something deeper than motivation. It's fueled by divine purpose. God doesn't back everything, but He backs what He calls. And when God backs something, He supplies the endurance to finish it. He doesn't always make the journey easier, but he always makes you stronger. He doesn't always shorten the road, but he strengthens your legs for the walk. Endurance is heaven's signature on your life. You didn't survive by chance. You survived by covering. There were moments you should have given up, moments when your mind was overwhelmed, your heart was heavy, and your future felt uncertain. Yet something inside you kept saying, don't stop. That something was not random, it was God. Endurance also reveals trust. When you keep going without guarantees, without applause, without immediate results, you are declaring, God, I trust you even when I don't understand you. That kind of faith moves heaven. That kind of endurance pleases God. It says, I believe you are working even when I can't see it. People may not recognize your endurance, but God does. He sees every tear you didn't explain, every prayer you whispered, every moment you chose faith over frustration. And he calls it strength. He calls it obedience. He calls it evidence that you are anchored in him. Endurance doesn't numb. You're meant to stay where you are forever. It means you are being preserved until the appointed time. God often uses endurance to keep you steady while he's arranging the next move. You are not stuck. You are sustained. You are not delayed. You are being protected. One day, what you endured will speak louder than what you achieved. Your story will not just be about success. It will be about survival with faith intact. And people will look at you and say, there had to be God in that. Because endurance without divine backing doesn't last. But yours did. So don't despise your endurance. Don't underestimate your perseverance. Don't overlook your resilience. It is proof that God is with you, for you, and working through you. You are still standing because heaven is still supporting you. You are still moving because grace is still carrying you. You are still believing because God is still backing you. Endurance is not just what you did. It is the evidence that God never left your side. There are things that should have ended you, moments that had the power to destroy your confidence, your faith, your identity, your future, situations that, by all logic, should have left you broken, bitter, or buried under regret. Yet here you are, breathing, believing, standing, not because it didn't hurt, but because it didn't finish you. What didn't break you was never meant to break you. It was designed to build you. Some pain comes to stop you. Other pain comes to shape you. The difference is purpose. When God allows certain battles, it is not to erase you. It is to reinforce you. The enemy meant it to end your story, but God repurposed it to deepen your strength.